450 race recap brought to you by our friends at Gutter Worx. Always well hung. Just like Cameron Sackadoo. Oh, man. Hey, we're going to fight when we get to talking about that one later.
I doubt it, because the person that's leading the points is actually my guy, so I think my guy's
We're going to fight about this. We're going to fight about this.
Oh, okay,
we're going to fight and throw sand in your face later when we talk about it.
dude, the benefactor was my guy.
Doesn't matter. We'll talk about it later. Okay. Well, let me just put my bias cap on here. My guy is back out front.
Isn't your bias cap always on?
My bias cap's always on. Look, here's what happened, man. We're just the fucking man. Okay? We're just the fucking man. There was a different tone last night. The interviews were very serious. We were very locked in.
Okay, here we go.
And what did we do?
Here we go.
What did we do?
I think he's always this guy. I just don't think that a lot of people like to act like he's that guy. And I was going to actually bring this up too, and it was it before the heat race? When the camera was on him and he was sitting, I don't know if it was a bench or a bale or whatever.
Yeah, sitting there.
And I can't remember.
Some guy.
It looked like Tim Cotter to me. I don't know if whoever come up. And Jet was like, you could kind of hear him, but you could kind of more read his lips. He's like, thank you, whatever. And he's kind of locked in. And I looked at it and I go, like, man, I'm like, Jet's locked in tonight. Like, he's definitely, you could tell that he was, and I'll say something this. And I looked at it and I'm like, man, he kind of looks like he's feeling the pressure a little bit. Like he's actually really engaged. But I think, honestly, this is just, Jet's always like that. I just don't think everybody likes to act like he is, because he's like, oh, he's like, I got my head in clouds. I'm the kid. But from everything we hear from people around him, and I'm talking about even stuff that like we hear that doesn't get said, Jet's always focused. I just think that he puts off this persona. I don't know. Let me retract that. I don't think he puts it off. I think, once again, it's the media, our great media that we have in this fucking sport. And I'm gonna get to that.
Oh, is that rant?
It's kind of a rant.
Oh, I can't wait.
And it actually has to deal with who we're gonna argue about in the 250 class. Not for him, just some whatever. I think Jet is always locked in. I just think that sometimes we like to act like he's not, and I don't know why that is. I don't know if we just like to, we don't want to take that innocence away from him, that he's like, oh, I got my head in clouds, I'm not super serious, because we all know what happens when you get super serious in this fucking business. Like, the fun of it goes away, and then you don't want to do it.
You end up with a real thick neck.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm not taking away that maybe he was more locked in last night than he was in the last couple rounds.
I feel like he was, because even his interviews weren't as fun as
But I think he's always locked in, though. I mean,
I do too.
Like, he's been this way a bunch of times this year. It's just, I think that we have this thing that we do with Jet where, because he is this fun-loving kid and he's like, he's got this great personality, that we want to act like he doesn't give a shit. Yeah. But we all know he does. He gave a shit last year in outdoors. I'm not even thinking about that. And then I get a few rounds in and like, I'm not even thinking about the undefeated. And then he got to like 10 motos and like, oh shit. Like, you know what? And then we can see though with his emotion, when you're as emotional as he has with the especially amount of winning that he's done, you care. Like, if you didn't care, you wouldn't be that emotional about it. But when he came off the finish line, I mean, you were there. Came off the finish line at Crawfordsville, and he just drops the bike and he walks off the top of the face, and he's going like this. Yeah. Like, I just think we act like he's not locked in because of stuff like that, and I don't know why it is. No, you're right. I think last night there was a different tone. Like I said, I even noticed it, and I'm not somebody that notices that shit about Jet. Yeah. But I think it's kind of a disservice to him. I think he's always locked in. I just think there's times where he knows he has to be a little bit more engaged.
Which he was last night.
But, I mean, he did. And he's done this quite a few times this year.
But this is what I said, though. I was like, look, if he wants to win this title, last night was definitive in my point, as far as, like, if he left there being behind Webb, chances he could win, still okay. But
I mean, anything could still happen, too. Like, yes. He definitely has obviously put himself back in the driver's seat. But, and some of the shit was not his own doing, he did lose a huge points gap in a matter of a month.
Huge one.
But now I will definitely say that I think right now, to me, right now, it's 60-40 going his way. If he wins in Philly, then I think it's outside of anything crazy. But then again,
I will say too, I have to say that the group around him. Did you listen to the Moto 60 show on Thursday with Dan Truman on there? No. Dude, he's literally like, yep. He's like, you just walk around and Dazzy's just like, the same thing that we saw there was some video he did last year with when Hunter was getting close, that it was like, we'll either win it or we won't. Doesn't matter.
I mean, that's what happens.
And as Dan said, but you don't get that with dads all the time. Sexton's dad, is not acting like that.
No, and Stu's dad was not the same way. Big Rick was not the same way.
It's very much, we need to fucking win this.
Yeah, for sure.
Where Darren is more, look, we'll win it or we won't. We're going to win a lot of fucking races. We're going to win a ton of championships. We've won way more money than we could ever imagine we were going to have anyway. We're all good.
For sure.
Who gives a shit? If you don't win it, you just don't win it. It's not the end of the world.
It keeps pressure off your kid.
Which I think is great.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I think that's a huge help to this happening. But that was a good win last night, man.
I mean, for sure.
Tell you what, he put some fucking time on those boys. Where I didn't think he was going to get them at first, when Kenny and Eli, and we'll get to them, Kenny and Eli were fucking ripping.
It was funny too, and I didn't want to get to it until we got to Eli or Kenny. But I'm sitting there going, and I almost texted the group text. I'm like, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, what the fuck is this? 2019,
dude.
Part of me was like, I was getting flashbacks of Cowie Eli and Honda Kenny, and I'm like, is this fucking 20? Oh, dude, and they put time on him.
Those first few laps, I was like. It's not all the time you see those guys riding and you're like, man, they are pushing. Like, they are really ripping.
And I think even Jet,
I was like, wow.
And we saw it in Indy too. And this is why sometimes I think we've seen this enough now where when people make the comment that Jet isn't pushing, I think it's a little bit of bullshit because I think Jet last night, that pace early, he was like, I don't really want to go this fast this early. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean he still not has the most outright speed.
Yeah.
There's times where I think in his brain he goes, yeah, man, these guys are going a little bit too fast for what I want to do right now. Mm-hmm. Not that he obviously can't run that speed, but dude, there's some times where your heart rate's not up, your blood's not pumping enough, your muscles aren't loose enough to go that fast that quickly, which is definitely a testament to Kenny and Eli, especially Eli at his age and everything he's going through, and we'll get to him. But like Kenny, bullshit
fast twitch,
but like we saw it in Indy when Kenny passed, like when Jet got a start and then Kenny went around him, like, oh man, like there's just sometimes that like Jet doesn't want to go with these boys. It doesn't mean he's not as fast as them. Yeah. I mean, we saw it a lot back in the day. I mean, I saw it a shit like with Stu and Ricky. Like there was times where Stu, like the pace that he would put at the beginning of races, you're like, there's no way anybody else in the world can run this pace.
No.
It's just, it takes you time to warm up. Once again, it's not anything bad against Jet. We all know that he's fast enough to run with those dudes. Clearly. Mm-hmm. It's just, there's some times where your brain's like, yeah, I don't really want to go this fast this early.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, there was a couple things, too, with Kenny and Eli that they were doing. They were doing that double over the start, which was interesting because I was surprised.
That wasn't faster in my opinion.
I don't think it was faster either. I was really surprised more people didn't do it, but whatever. And then
that
triple
into the whoops, I saw that in practice when I saw one of the B-seated 250 dudes double in. I'm like, dude, there's enough of a lip there. Like, they're going to start 3 and in.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised it took them that long to figure it out. But I think it was only faster because the whoops started to break down. Mm-hmm. I think it was still faster to come off that double and then kind of jump in and then blitz out. But then they got so shitty by the end of the night. Like you were just rhythming through.
Yep. So,
I mean, it was good. Like he did.
That was a really good race.
He kind of did what he did came on Daytona. The thing is, though, and we've said this, and he did it after Daytona. He got on a roll. He's got to keep it going because if for whatever reason he doesn't win in Philly, which I'm not saying he's not going to, but if he doesn't and Coop gets those points back. Now, once again, we're back in this back and forth thing.
Yeah.
You know, we're here and there, and everybody can say that, you know, Jet, if we're close in points at Salt Lake because of his speed, but I'm still going to take Cooper Webb in a win-all situation because just for the fact that Jet's never been in that situation before. Coop's been in that situation plenty of times now. Not to say that Jet can't do it, but it's kind of one of those, I'm just going to go give Coop the nod in a win-all situation at the final round if we're at that point. Who knows? We might not. It might not matter because he's been through it. Mm-hmm. Jet just has not. Cole said it last week. Most of Jet's championships, he's wrapped up either 2 or a round early. And mathematically, guys were in it. Jacob was in it. But let's be real. We all know that Jet was never going to lose those championships.
Yeah.
Jet's never been in a situation where like, oh, there's 3 points between you and second place. And then if you don't beat him, and who knows, maybe he just go out and do Jet what he always does because we act like he doesn't feel pressure, whatever. But it's just like Coop's been there, done that. Jet has yet to prove it. One of the few things he has not yet proven in his career, and maybe he just never will. But, I mean, yeah, like right now in my mind, he's 60-40. If he goes and wins Philly, then it's going to be like, oh, man, this is going to be really fucking hard. Mm-hmm. Because, once again, Coop's not one of those guys that when we get to Salt Lake, he's going to saw off Jet's front end to win the title. He's going to lean on him. But Coop doesn't ride dirty like that. So, you know, this isn't one of those situations.
No. So, Tomac gets second. Again, ripping. absolutely ripping.
And then he fell off. Then he hit a wall.
Yeah,
and it's like,
faded.
But you could. But
it's in my notes. Faded.
And I think that's just kind of where Eli is. His body can only go for 15 minutes. And I think we got to the 13-minute mark, and then it happened and whatever.
Yeah.
But his body can only go 13, 15 minutes before it's like, I can't do this anymore. And I don't think necessarily at the beginning of the year, I thought it was, that Achilles tendon's getting tight, whatever. I just think that it's Eli was off for a long time. Mm-hmm. That's a serious injury. He's older now. You talk about this with where his mind wants to go. He doesn't need to win any races anymore. He wants to, but he doesn't need to.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between wanting to and needing to. He doesn't need to prove anything to anybody. And I think we've seen this enough now that if all the races were 15 minutes, he'd be in there every fucking race.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not. They're 20+1, and I think that's all he's got in his bag anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm here to tell you, man, he came to play for 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
He was making Jet work for that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the 15-minute mark, Eli was just like, whatever. And he didn't give up, but he couldn't go anymore.
Did you, so have you heard this thing going around about him being interested in doing some GPs?
I was going to bring that up. Yeah, he was because the factory Yamaha team is down to just one rider in Calvin Verlanderen. Yeah, I've heard it too.
Yeah,
because Gertz and Renault are probably not going to come back for a long time.
Yeah, because somebody asked him if he would be interested in doing it. And he's like, yeah,
well, he wants to go to Lommel. He wants to race Lommel. Which I think is a bad idea.
Terrible idea.
Eli, maybe
you should call RV.
Yeah, man. If you would have said this in 2019, I'd have been like, go for it, bro. But this point in your life, man, just don't do that to yourself. It's not worth it.
I wonder what outdoors he's going to do this year.
Do you think he even does outdoors?
I don't know.
Because I'm here to tell you, man, the fact that he's only got 15 in it, granted, obviously your training is a lot different from Supercross to outdoors, when you peak, whatever. But, I'm looking at him going, even if he does race outdoors, so limited ones, there's only 2 races I could even see him giving Jet, and we're going to get to Chase, even fits at all, and that's Hangtown and the Wick. Outside of that, what other tracks is he going to go to that he's even going to give those boys any fits? Dude, if he's only got 15 in him, I think we go to outdoor trading, he ups it to 25. But, and I was going to bring this up too. I was thinking about it. I'm like, man, there's only 2 rounds where I can go, yeah, even this version of Eli, that's it. You got Hangtown and the Wick, because those have always been his best. Because even Washougal's kind of, Chase beat him in Washougal.
Yeah, I don't know. We haven't heard anything. Lewis Phillips brought this up of we haven't heard anything about him doing outdoors yet. So.
I'd much rather go see him do some GPs.
That'd be cool.
Not Lommel.
Well,
not Lommel. But I would love to see him go through some GPs, man, because then he can just kind of tick that off his box and be like, hey, man, I've done everything.
Yep. All right, so Cooper Webb gets a distant third. I'll tell you what. I listened to the press conference today. He is very open that he has nothing for Jet speed-wise.
Well, yeah.
He is very... Yeah, but
anybody that thought that he would, though,
Eli also doesn't have a lot for him speed-wise. He has more than Webb, but he's not... I wouldn't call him a massive amount speed-wise better than Webb.
I think it's for a whole race, though.
Eli's not where Webb was like, dude, I'll tell you what, if you haven't listened to the press conference from last night, you should go listen to it, because he is very, dude, him being like, yep, kid's so good, kid's
Let me
so
ask you
fast,
this, though.
Whatever.
Let me ask you this, though. Even through Coop's 2 championships, he won a lot of races.
Yeah.
When did we ever go,
no, we never did.
And it's not. This is not taking anything away from Jet. It's just. Does that comment really surprise you though? He never would have.
It's weird to hear it out loud from the guys.
For sure.
Usually they don't, because that's basically an admittance of defeat. Essentially.
What do you think everybody was saying about Stu back in the day, though, man?
Yeah.
Nobody ever said they could beat Stu.
Yeah, but did you ever hear Ricky say
Well, Ricky, let's be real.
I'm
Ricky,
just saying.
Ricky and Cooper are not the same person.
But that's the same level we're talking about at this point. You're talking about championship dudes.
Yeah.
And championship dudes don't openly say that.
I think, honestly, that it is interesting, but ultimately it doesn't really matter, because Coop's still in the championship.
He still is there. Yes, he's only
we know
5 down. You're
not Coop was never faster than Kenny outright. He was never faster than Eli outright. He won the 2 championships. But we all know why Coop won. It's not a bad thing. Dude, there's just always going to be somebody in a series.
Yeah, I know.
That is going to be faster than you, and you're going to go, holy shit! The only way I'm going to beat this dude. Mm-hmm. And what do you think everybody was saying about Eli outdoors for 3 fucking years? I think it's...
But even... Okay, well, if you want to do that point, but even Dungey was not like, yeah, I got nothing for that.
Dunge was pretty defeated in 2017.
He was, but even when he
Supercross.
was that defeated, it was never, yeah, that guy's so fast, we got nothing for him. It was, yep, we got to go do some more testing. Like, we all saw the defeat in him.
I think it's a day and age thing, though, man.
Maybe. I don't know, man. It's so weird to see, though, and I'm just like, man,
It's different because you don't hear it, but we all know it, though.
Oh, I know.
Like,
everybody
knows it. Coop knew it after 4 rounds. Like, he even saw it outdoors last year. Granted, he's never been an outdoor guy on the 450. But, like, it's just them basically saying everything that we know.
Yeah.
You're right. It's rare to see an elite level guy be like, yeah, this guy, he's just faster than me. Because our sport, we put a lot of emphasis on speed. Me being one of them. I've always said what I've said about Stu and Ricky and all that. It's weird, but we all have known it. We all knew that if Cooper Webb was going to ever win this title, he wasn't going to beat Jet outright. And and honestly, if he still wins this title, it really doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
It is weird, but it's not like any of us ever said, yeah, Cooper's faster than Jet outright. No way. No, he's not.
So, Jason Anderson, 4th. I'll tell you what, another couple of laps, he might come up and got Coop, man.
Maybe.
He was on the move.
Also got Hunter.
Quietly 4th.
Which, by the way, I haven't gone back and watched the race. I didn't see the takeout. Did you watch?
I didn't see it. I've heard Hunter's not fucking stoked on it.
I'm curious to see what happened. I should have went back. I should have been back and watched
see it this week, but Weed Show. Weed talked to him off camera. Said, "Yep."
Talked to Hunter.
Yes.
And
said, "Yes, we're not." He goes, "It's not a oh man, bro, it's a racing incident thing. It's a we're not happy about that thing." So that's interesting.
Yeah, I wonder what prompted that.
Surprise. What prompted that? It's Jason Anderson.
Yeah,
this is like Justin Barsha. What prompts any of that?
Yeah, but Ando really hasn't.
Justin Barsha.
Outside of the Jet thing this year, though, it's not like he's really gotten into it.
He saw Lawrence on the jersey. He got confused about the number, but he saw Lawrence on the jersey and he just blacked out. He doesn't know what happened.
Yeah, I mean,
he woke up. There was a red bike on the ground. He was like, got him. And now he realizes it was the wrong one. He's like, fuck.
Yeah, Hunter may be not happy about that, but I really hope he doesn't play that. I mean, we got 3 rounds to go, so I guess it really doesn't matter. But I really hope he doesn't play that game because Hunter's starting to build confidence. And playing that game with Anderson just does not. I can just see it.
It'll be in practice.
It's Hunter
don't
over
you
the top
when
of
Faulkner tried that shit with him. 2018 Tampa.
Faulkner and Jason Anderson are not the same people. Anderson takes people out, and he's good at it.
I'm just saying, Hunter.
I can just see Hunter sitting over the backside of a berm, going, "That was stupid." Look, man, if you're gonna tell me that Hunter's gonna try to play that game, I'm gonna tell you right now, he ends up over a berm.
Maybe
he's not taking Anderson out. That's like fucking with Barsha. Like, how many people have we ever seen that go well for? 0. Never. Vince Freeze, maybe, because you obviously got a huge outright speed difference, and Vince Freeze a dodo head. But I'm just here to tell you, man, I don't want to see Hunter. He's building. You can tell his confidence. He's getting a little bit of speed back. He's got 2 heat wins. Like, he's looking froggy in practice. Why would you derail your momentum with 3 rounds to go in Supercross by doing something that you're not going to get anything out of?
Fuck that guy. That's why.
Well, I'm just going to say this. If he does, he's an idiot.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens here. Hopefully, for my sake, I'm cheering for it. Hunter's my friend, but I'm cheering.
I just don't want to see Hunter get hurt, man.
I don't want to see him get hurt either, but I would like to see the fireworks between him and Ando.
Neither of them are going to fight. They can't fight their way out of.
Can you imagine if Ando grabs both their helmets in the same year? Holy shit.
That'd be awesome.
It'd be so great.
I really hope if he does, though, he just slaps the shit out of the shell of the helmet.
Hunter is my friend, but I am cheering for this to happen.
I mean, that part would be funny, but I just don't want to see anybody get hurt.
Anyway, Barsha gets 5th.
That was weird. That was unforeseen.
I mean,
I don't really know if I saw a Barsha with the way this year's been going.
Bike's getting better?
Yeah, whatever. Sure.
Justin Cooper 6th. Still fast as fucking practice.
J Coop is.
I still cannot believe every practice now you look up and it's like Jet and 3-star Yamahas, and then Jet and 3-star Yamahas every week.
Yeah, man. J Coop. He doesn't have the sprint speed right off the bat, and it would show in practice because usually he gets that fast lap in the second practice. Starts to build, get some line selection figured out, gets his bike dialed in, which is why I keep harping on this. I think he's going to be really damn good outdoors, man.
We'll see.
Because in these mains, man, he just keeps building, and he's just solid across the board. And
by the end of Moto 2, he's going to be practically running with Jet.
Fucking something, dude.
Might be within 5 seconds.
It's wild.
Which would be crazy.
It is wild because, I mean,
the only person to do that's Ken Roxon.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
So anyway, Hunter 7th
after being on the ground. Apparently,
yeah, I guess
not bad.
Okay, Benny 8th.
Benny's been good.
Benny's been quietly good here.
Benny's been good. They're not going outdoors, though.
It's weird.
Yeah, weird how you're trying to develop the bike, but you're not going to go racing outdoors.
What do you think Colt Nichols is thinking right now?
I think Colt Nichols wants to retire.
Maybe. Malcolm, 9th. You got anything about him?
He won't be racing outdoors.
He was fast in that heat race.
Whatever, man. Heat race.
I thought maybe heat race Mookie was going to show up there.
We've seen heat race Mookie one time this year, and whatever. Like, I hate to say this, man, but
Has
Malcolm
he announced he's not going outdoors, or we're just still under the assumption he doesn't want to ride outdoors? So.
I think we're all under the assumption. There's been no, but like, let's be real. He's going to have an injury like 2 weeks or a week before Fox Raceway.
All right, cool. Like at the Stopwatch Nationals.
Yeah, maybe he fakes an injury at the Stopwatch Nationals because you know what's going to happen. He's going to go out there, put a heater in. He's going to be 6 seconds a lap slower than everybody else, and he's like, "This is why I don't do outdoors."
Vince Freeze 10th. Okay,
that's weird. I mean,
were you nervous where he lined up in the main there between Coop and Jet?
Yeah, I was just kind of hoping Vince don't fuck this up.
Maybe he's going to bounce between the two of them.
It'd have been great if they just both ended up on the ground looking up and Vince is just like, fuckers.
And Eli just wins this title.
That'd be great, but you know, Vince, whatever, man. Like, I'm really curious what he's gonna do this summer, especially with the whole WSX thing going.
I don't know.
Maybe I'll go back up to Canada.
Dino show back up and raced 11th. Show back up right where he left off.
That's just Dino, man. That's just Dino. Well, and you know, he's only got 3 or more of these races. And he's pretty much
And Justin Hill showed up, get 12th.
Back through the LCQ. I don't care.
The LCQ.
Whatever. I don't really care.
Shade is 13th. You got anything about him?
Has there been any announcement that him and Chiz are going outdoors?
I'm not sure. I assume they are.
I hope so. I mean, Shane's been actually fairly decent this season.
I assume that they're going outdoors since they're not doing
WSX,
but
Shane's been pretty solid this year, man.
What's Kenny doing?
I hope he just shows up at select rounds. I don't need him racing the whole summer.
Yeah.
Shane's been good, though. Shane's been sneaky. I mean, he's got, I'm not going to call it that mud race like he did.
Dude, he's got 4th place speed, bro.
But whatever. But, I mean, dude, he's hovered around like 10 to 12 a few rounds.
Yeah.
Like, I know his normal finishing spots like 12 to 15. But, I mean, if you would have asked me at the beginning of the year where Shane was going to go, I'd be like, well, he's been like 19th to 20th. So I think he's been sneaky good.
Yeah. AC 14th.
I was really hoping he was going to win that heat race.
Me too.
I was just thinking, Hunter, just pass him and then check up.
He is so excited just to be out there. Did you see him in practice? Did you watch qualifying?
Yeah.
The second one there?
Yeah.
As he's going over the triple on the first lap, fist pumping in the fans.
Yeah, man. He is going to be one of those dudes that is going to be awesome to watch him now that we know he's retired.
Yeah.
His retirement shit. I really hope he keeps up with the video content. I know he's going to keep up with his podcast, but I never was really one to watch his vlogs. I hope they go that because now he can actually just lock in and not really have any pressure. Because, dude, he's going to be really fun to watch in this next part of his this next chapter of his career or his life, whatever you want to call it.
Yep. Oldenburg 15th.
Whatever.
Chiz 16th.
Okay.
Freddie 17th. Grant Harlan 18th.
Oh man, I didn't really realize how bad that recovery on that hip was.
Terrible.
Jeez, dude. I didn't realize that he hadn't even ridden because I check his Instagram every now and then just because I like the kid, but I didn't realize A1 he wasn't even on a bike yet.
Yeah.
He's
it's been a long road for him.
Yeah, he's building. I mean, I think he's only made a few mains this year. I will say though, I think that there was a few people, Mitchell being including in one of them, that went down in the LCQ. They had some bad luck. I think that LCQ would have looked a little bit different, but not taking anything away from Harlan. Obviously we know he's a top 15 dude when he's healthy. He proved that a lot last year. And I hope he can continue to be healthy because he was, everybody put the onus on Masterpool last year, but I mean, dude, Harlan was right there as far as privateers.
Oh yeah,
a true privateer that was putting in work. So
Gizmo mods,
whatever.
Jeremy Hand 19th,
just making mains, bro.
Josh Hill randomly shows up, gets 20th.
Don't care.
Ken Roxon 21st.
Hurt his Achilles.
You heard what?
Somebody was saying his Achilles is
I think
it's
his knee.
Oh,
I saw a picture of his knee. His knee is fucking the size of a bowling ball.
He's definitely probably not going to race the last 3 rounds.
That was the weirdest shit I've ever seen in my life.
That's what happens when you blow all the shock fluid out.
That was the weirdest shit I've ever seen in my life.
He actually got really fucking lucky.
He did.
Because that could have been a lot worse.
It could have. That was... Never seen a shock blowout like that.
I've never seen one blow out in a supercross race. I've seen plenty of them blow out everywhere else.
In a pro race?
Outdoors.
But pro?
Yes. Not like factory dudes.
Okay.
Privateers. It's very rare that a shock blows out on a factory bike.
Yeah.
Definitely more so on privateers.
Yeah.
But that's only because like they're just not servicing their shocks. That was weird though, man. That was definitely all system malfunction. Because that is not a normal thing in any situation for the shock fluid to blow out.
No.
And then like, yeah, I don't know.
And then just how about the worst spot of going into the whoops and it's just a pogo stick. Like anything else, he could have. Well, then again, I don't know what a jump would have been like either. But
it would have hucked him to the moon.
Yeah.
It have hucked him to the fucking moon.
I mean,
especially if it had blow out right on unload as it's leaving the face. Like, yeah, that would have been.
That was terrible.
Yeah, that's a real bummer, man, because I don't see him running the last 3 rounds. Man, he was on it.
Maybe. I don't know.
If I'm him, I'm like, no.
Does he change bikes next year?
I mean, dude, why would you, though? That's like one instance that he's had issues with that Suzuki. Unless he gets a contract. Okay, so since the only other person we have left is the defending champ.
Which we'll talk about in a second.
Which we'll talk about. Let's talk about Kenny for a second and just bounce off of that. First off, why would he, and I'm asking you this, because since you posed that question, why would he change teams? Just because of the fact of where he is in his career. He's proven that bike is good. He's won on that bike. He's led races. I don't know how much.
Stalled it in the heat.
He did. But where's he okay, so where's he going to go, though? Like,
I don't know.
Where would he go?
I'm not sure.
Because a lot of people, I mean, dude, the only other team that's even
he didn't like the club bike, right?
No, he did not. And I don't think he would fit out of Yamaha.
Okay.
Just for some of the shit that we were talking about with bike setup.
Okay.
The only other thing, and this is a long shot too, and this is only us banking off the fact that Ando's going to say, I don't want to go racing, is Cowie. But I can't see him being teammates with Prado because he wouldn't be the sole focus. And not to say Kenny's a diva, but Kenny's a little bit of a diva. You know he wouldn't be the sole focus if he went to Cowie. No. And do you really see, even at this point in his career, being that he shows still he can win races and lead, that he doesn't want to be the sole focus?
I don't know.
Because it would also be the first time in his career that he would not be the sole focus.
I don't know.
Because even dating back to those days when he first went pro in the GPs, when he was at Tekka Suzuki, he's the #1 guy. Then he moves over to KTM, still the #1 guy, even with Marv there, and even with Hurlings.
It's a weird spot.
I can't.
Really weird spot. I don't know.
Could it happen? For sure. I just starting to run down the line. Where the fuck is he going to go?
I just think that with WSX not being a thing anymore, his tie to that team, I think, is a lot.
Ducati's the only other one, and obviously we've talked about this, but they're not coming for another
year. Yeah, I don't know.
Because he ain't sitting out all of 2025.
No. So I don't know. Interesting.
I mean, it would be interesting, but man, why would you go to another team for a year, go through the learning curve and the struggles that would be for the year, just to know that more than likely you might end up at Ducati a year later?
I wonder how much longer he's going to go. Because he's what, 30?
No, 29. I mean, he's going to be 30 next year.
Okay. Yeah, I just
dude, I don't think he's going to go through much longer, man. Kenny's made so much money.
Yeah. All right, and then 20 seconds, Chase Sexton.
Rocket throttle body, apparently.
Rock into the throttle. No, throttle tube.
Throttle tube, sorry.
Broke it wide open.
Yeah.
Weirdest thing I've seen in a long time. Weirdest.
Dude,
outside of the shock.
And I think he was actually going to have a pretty decent main. Honestly, you want to talk about like Ando catching Coop? I think there was a real possibility that Sexton would end up on the box.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, dude, he's been struggling hardcore in qualifying because I still think that they're searching for a setting, and we go to qualifying and he just fucking throws his hands up in the air because I don't think he even knows what works anymore. I think he's done probably so much testing that he doesn't know fucking right from left.
Probably. And
then we go into heat races and he builds, and we've seen this the last couple rounds now, Seattle, St. Louis, whatever, like East Rutherford or Foxborough, whatever the fuck we're calling it. And he's building, he starts to put on it, he starts, loosen up, gets everything clicking in the heat races, the end of the heat races, and then by the main, like he's been there. I think that whatever they're doing, he's going in the right direction. The problem is that I think he starts off the weekend so ass backwards that by the time they get it figured out, it's too late. Now we go to outdoors. If first moto is not a struggle bus, maybe that's a good thing because by the time the second motos come around, maybe he's got his shit together. But dude, I don't know, man. Because like if you haven't, it's been like we've been dealing with this with Sexton even since back to Indy.
Yeah,
like he is not good at the beginning of the day.
No,
he is terrible, and he comes out of nowhere half the time. And it's like that proves though that they're testing.
Yeah,
I don't know what they're testing. They should be testing that rear end because that thing is terrible.
Look, here's the thing, man. It just harpers back to that comment made by Darren Lawrence of the people before us didn't know how to develop a bike, which is Chase Sexton and his dad.
And a lot of people don't know how to develop bikes.
I'm super interested to listen to, I guess Mathis did a podcast with Kier this week. So I'm super interested for that to come up and listen to that and see what Kier has to say.
So,
because Sexton's been pretty open about struggling with the bike here, obviously.
So I'll ask you a question.
Yeah.
And I think we've asked this quite a few times, but why not? Let's say we go to outdoors. A little bit of the same thing he did last year. Gets second to Jet a lot, challenges him a couple times, has the speed to win, but doesn't. So it was a 2-year contract, right?
I think so.
Okay, 2 years. What do you think Chase does if we get to the end of 2024 and he still feels the same way he did? Well, actually, he wouldn't because now apparently he's even said it, which we all kind of knew it. He said, yeah, man, I've sucked this year. Because he's definitely not even showed the outright speed at all that he had on the Honda. Because at least on the Honda, we knew at any given moment, if this was right, he actually could beat Jet because he was just as fast as Jet. It's just we knew this was not there.
Yep.
There's been no point at any of this year where I've gone, yeah, man, Chase could definitely beat Jet straight up.
Yep.
What do you think he does that if we get to the end of 2024
he's going somewhere else for sure?
Where would he go, though?
I don't know. Don't care. He'll go somewhere else, though.
No, I agree with you. I'm just asking you, posing the question, where would you think he would go?
Star. I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know what that looks like.
Where would you like to see him go?
Well, we've got 2 other groups coming in, too, in the Triumph and the Ducati type thing, so...
Maybe he goes to Triumph.
I don't know what that looks like.
Bobby Hewitt would be a good person for him.
Club MX would probably be good, too.
Nah.
Even though he doesn't like that Yamaha.
No, I think the Triumph actually would be... I think Bobby Hewitt would be a good person for him to have on his side. The same thing with Steve Westfall.
Yeah, maybe.
Those are 2 pretty solid dudes. We obviously know the bike's good.
I don't know, man. But I'm telling you, if they go through next year struggling like this, too, he's not staying there.
No. I mean, dude, because he's not going to waste his prime years.
He's going to have to go somewhere where they can develop the bike for him, which is ironic that KTM can't with the amount of knowledge and everything that they have.
Things that we know, it's kind of like Cowie. They're stuck in their ways. They're either either this bike's good, like we saw with Coop. Like that's like Coop left. Fucking they didn't listen to Coop, and we've seen it with Cowie for a long time. Like there's teams out there that have been winning for so long at such a high level. And they have the same old way of thinking. And we saw it when Yamaha restructured their shit when they went away for a long time with the factory team and then giving the reins over to Star. Like, hey, man, we're going to get some fresh thinking in here. We respect you guys, but this is a new day and age. And some of the old way of thinking, they're just like, yeah, man, like, no, like this bike's good. You're going to ride what you're going to ride. And like, I don't know. I just don't want to see Chase's best years wasted because if this continues to happen, and it happens again this year, and then it happens again next year. Now we're going to start falling to, we know Chase's biggest problem is upstairs. It's everything else is fine. It's upstairs. That it's going to get to a point where he's going to be overthinking everything and second guessing every move he makes. That even by the time he gets on a team that's perfect for him, he's not going to do shit. Because mentally he's going to be so screwed up.
Look, man, there's a lot of hard looking in the mirror that needs to happen, I think, and not necessarily looking in the mirror at himself per se, but like you go through another year like this and it's like, okay, now we've struggled on that Honda in a sense with figuring that out. We've now struggled on this KTM. If we struggle on KTM for second year, you got to look in the mirror and you got to look at what's around you. And maybe it's time to trim some stuff.
I mean, we've seen this time and time again with a lot of different people over the years that what happens when you do it.
Yep. and then maybe it would get better. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure. That's a whole nother bag of worms. I'd have to ask people what that's
and
like.
something we could talk about when we go into the off season. And here's the other crazy thing though is, there's just one thing that would fix that. He just goes and gets a fucking win.
Yeah.
Like, dude, if he beats Jet at any point, it doesn't even have to be both motos. He just beats Jet at any point outdoors. All that talk goes away. That's the wild thing.
Yeah.
It just goes away. Because it's like, oh, all right, cool. I don't know. We know how accomplished Chase can be, and he's already accomplished a lot. I just don't want to see it wasted on some shit that has to do with the mental side of things. If it was an on-the-bike thing and it was a technique thing or a training program, fine. But if it's just a mental thing...
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So, all right. That's been your 450 race recap brought to you by our friends at Gutter Worx.